Namaskar and welcome everyone. This is NFL Masala. I'm your co-host Anant.
And I'm your other co-host, Rakshak. Welcome to Season 3, Episode 5, Bunch Anja of NFL Masala, where we talk about all the latest happenings in the NFL
With a
with a
little bit of
little bit of
spice.
spice. God, I miss this, man.
It's
How
been
you
a while.
been?
It's been a while. It's been since our draft recap episode, so it's been about 2 to 3 months now.
Yeah.
We are recording almost at the end of July
Mm-hmm.
because we have had a lot of things going on in the summer.
Right.
So without further ado, let's get rock and rolling.
Yep.
First off, with our Dhamakedar news, right? But before we do that, let's at least tell you guys what we're going to be talking about today. Today will be the first of our 8 division recap episodes. And so today we are going to be doing the best division in the NFL, the NFC North Division preview for that
Okay.
for the 2024 season. You will see we will have more competition than another division that I know of.
Mm-hmm.
Only because the teams are so much better than ours. But yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
Let's see.
Yeah. So before we get started with the NFC North preview, let's do some Dhamakedar news. Speaking of which, this summer has been what is probably known as like the hottest summer in sports in a while. And that is because across several different sports, we have had momentous occasions. As
Mhm.
every year, we have the NBA finals go on into June. So we'll consider that as the starting of the summer of sports. But then you've got Formula One, F1, having a massive, massive year this year from the past couple of years where it's just been Max Verstappen winning every single thing by like a 30-second lead. It has been drastically different this year. But then in terms of true summer, we've got the T20 World Cup, and Rakshak will break that down in a little bit. Then we've got the Euros and the Copa America. So
Mhm.
5 massive major tournaments all in this summer. And we still just started the Olympics
Yeah.
and the
Oh,
MLC.
yeah, wait. The Olympics is like what, in 2 days now?
It's already started
Oh, right. But so I mean, that's for like
for a couple
for
of sports. But
for,
yeah,
for a couple of sports.
yeah,
But
it's gonna start in a couple of days, I think, and it's gonna run into August, and then boom, come football season.
mhm.
So this year has been sports year. It's been the year of
The
sports,
year of sports.
and we've got the Women's Asia Cup going on right now in terms of cricket. India is 3-0. Bro, we are demolishing every other
Which is
team.
why I'm yawn. Do you see the sarcastic yawn that I'm doing? That's why.
Dang.
Because honestly, India's like basically this is rebrand the Asia Women's Cup to the India Women's Invitational. You have the opportunity to win second place.
Do you know that Thailand women have the ability to knock out Bangladesh women from the playoffs?
What?
Yep. Right now,
What is
if
happening?
Thailand beats Sri Lanka, they will knock out Bangladesh.
Okay, well then let's get
Pakistan
to
and
this.
East Pakistan are going through something this year,
Let,
man.
let's get the,
Pakistan lost to.
oh, we got no. We'll talk about more about this, but let's get to the
So we'll
sports.
talk about that after the summer of sports. All right. Anyways, Rakshak, kick off the summer of sports for us.
Well, the summer sports, we got to talk with NBA, and we surprisingly got a very interesting NBA Finals matchup, which unfortunately ended 4-1. 4-1. The Boston Celtics are the new NBA champions. Jaylen Brown winning MVP deservedly, beats Luka Doncic and the Dallas Mavericks 4-1. But I want to say hats off to an incredible season for the Mavericks for making it this far, especially with last minute additions And what a hell of an offseason so far for the Mavs. Getting Klay Thompson, sending Tim Hardaway Jr. to the Gulag, which is the Detroit Pistons. That's what Abhishek, in the words of Abhishek the legend. I mean, getting Klay Thompson, Najee Marshall, Quentin Grimes, Quentin Grimes, Najee Marshall, or someone like that, and of course Spencer Dinwiddie. I mean, you know what? We're not an NBA channel, but this is what I could tell you from the top of my mouth. Luka Doncic,
That's fine.
He fought hard, but injured. Kyrie Irving, I think he lost himself against Boston. But you know, a credit to the Celtics. They deserve to win it. They're the complete team. Congrats to them. I will bite the bullet on this one. Proud of my Mavs for making it this far.
So, moving on from NBA, we've got, as I mentioned before, F1, Formula One racing, and this year has been spectacular in terms of the action that has been provided. We have had, away from the past couple of years where it's just been the domination of Max Verstappen and Red Bull, this year has been very, very close in terms of competition. We have had now 7 different winners in 13 races.
There's actually competition now?
Yes, actual competition for Red Bull and Max Verstappen. You had Carlos Sainz win it in Australia. You had Lando Norris winning his first F1 race in Miami. You had then Charles Leclerc winning in Monaco, being the first Monegasque or person from Monaco to win the Monaco Grand Prix in 60 plus years. So first time that has happened since like the ancient times at this point. Then for the past 3
Just
races,
throw it out casually. The ancient times.
It is truly ancient if you were to compare 1950s to now. But
fair enough.
But the past 3 races have all been different winners. George Russell in Austria, Lewis Hamilton, the 8-time world champion.
Oh, Hamilton won.
Time. That was stolen from him in 2021. Yes, I'm one of those Lewis Hamilton fans. If you have anything to say about it, come at me. Come at me.
Yeah, not me. I don't even follow racing,
yeah.
so
you are excused. You don't really watch it, but that's why I'm here, right?
Gotcha.
You're here to provide NBA. I'm here to provide F1.
Fair enough.
And so George Russell of Mercedes wins in Austria. Lewis Hamilton wins for the 104th time. Record breaking in terms of a number of wins for one driver ever. In Silverstone, which is his home race. So that was a momentous occasion. And then finally, just this past weekend in Hungary, Oscar Piastri winning for McLaren, his first win in his F1 career as well. So a very, very successful F1 season this year. 13 races, 7 different winners. Yes, Max Verstappen has been winning, but the gap is closing. So I'm very excited for an exciting F1, and we're now about halfway through the season. So we still got about 11 more races to go. So fingers crossed, Max Verstappen is dethroned by Lando Norris and McLaren wins the Constructors' Championship. So we'll see about that. Anyways, coming up next, Rakshak.
This is gonna. I think that I'm honestly gonna tear up again, man. Since 2013, the Indian men's cricket team has not won a cricket championship, like in the international side, whether it be
any format,
whether it be Test, OD, one-day internationals, or T20s.
And we've been agonizingly close.
Is over, ladies and gentlemen. Your 2024 ICC T20 World Championships. India. Now bow down to the real men in blue. How is the mother-loving Josh?
Hi, sir.
Jai Hind.
Jai Hind.
let's effing go. And what a way. And I mean, if you had watched the finals, this was an
Yes.
art piece. India was
Yes.
down, but then a man by the name of Mr. Virat Kohli, 76 runs,
59.
crucial runs,
Mm-hmm.
taking him to a score of 177.
Mm-hmm.
And then South Africa had a really good start. Then all of a sudden, the maneth come the hour, Mr. Jasprit Bumrah, fast bowler for India. Right now, I believe one of the best bowlers in the entire
He is
world.
the best. He
He's
is the best. There's
correction.
no argument about it. He's the
He
best
takes
all format
crucial,
bowler.
he took crucial wickets, and then what mattered the most, the final 6 deliveries. One Surya Kumar Yadav with the catch of the year. If you pray to any god, if you have an altar of any god, I recommend you add this man to your
Yes.
perumal, your
pedestal.
temple, your mandir,
Yes.
whatever. I don't even care which god you pray to. You put him next to that god, because Surya Kumar Yadav made the catch of the year, and he basically caught the T20 World Cup. And with that, Rohit Sharma, our captain for the T20 side, Virat Kohli and Ravindra Jadeja both retired, and Rahul Dravid ends his tenure as India coach with a trophy. Now the reins are down to Gautam Gambhir, and the new generation of T20 steps up. Now it's their time to shine.
Mm-hmm. So, in conclusion, in terms of how Pakistan performed,
Oh, the greatest thing happened. The United States cricket team beats an experienced
a bunch of IT software engineers and ex-Caribbean players beat up the Pakistan men's international cricket
You had
team.
the ghost of Corey Anderson from New Zealand come after.
Oh my god,
Oh,
that was hilarious to watch.
Oh, my stomach's about to hurt. But remember, there are 3 things in life: death, taxes, and then
Pakistan losing to Indian origin players.
oh my god, you basically lost to the India C team. Come on.
And dude, they also lost to the Legends team. The Indian retired professional cricket players like Yuvraj Singh, Yusuf Pathan, Irfan Pathan, all of them destroyed Pakistan in the finals. So now this year, Pakistan has lost to the Indian men's, the Indian women's, the Indian youngsters, the retired people,
What's going
and Indian NRIs.
Wait, what's that song? How does it go again? Mocha, 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 mocha.
Pakistan is already a failed state, and then now PCB is about to be burnt down.
Yo.
Uh,
We got next.
so as you guys can see, we've had a lot of fun this summer, relishing in Pakistan's weaknesses and losses.
No, I'm just relishing in how the U.S. men's team
Oh,
beat an ODI full member team.
yeah,
Like,
a test, test
before
playing nation.
before the World T20 World Cup, Bangladesh had a series in the U.S. that they lost 2-1. The U.S. I'm like, what in the world is going on?
Mm-hmm.
I had to find my coworker who's a Bangladeshi and said, "Hey, you doing okay?" He avoided me. He avoided me for a full week after that.
That match single-handedly catapulted cricket in the United States. I will kid you not. All of Twitter was like, wait, we have a cricket team? Oh my God. Saurabh Netrawalkar, who was the best player for the USA cricket team, literally had to
player.
extend his office vacation from Oracle to play and beat Pakistan.
They made it to the Super 8, and
And-
guess what?
yeah,
They're
and the Super
qualified
8.
for They're qualifying for the 2026 T20 World
Yeah.
Cup.
Yeah.
Dude, you know what?
In India.
USA all the way. Let's go.
Oh my
I'm actually gonna buy a
God.
USA jersey after this one, man.
They out-qualified New Zealand for the 2026.
What is going on?
Yeah. Yeah, that was fantastic. All right. Moving on now.
Yeah, let's do it.
Copa America. Argentina wins. Argentina wins. Yes, there was a lot of controversy. A lot of controversy between Colombia and
In Argentina.
the fans.
Oh yeah.
It was a terrible, terrible situation. But you know what? They deserve the win. Argentina won. And I'm not going to sit here and say they cheated. They didn't deserve to win. Colombia had 19 total shots. 19 total shots. And only 4 on target. They owned possession. They had 56% possession. But they were the ones who committed more fouls. They even had the more amounts of corners. They had 7 corners. They had all the chance to beat Argentina. They couldn't pull it off. Argentina could. Lutuaro Martinez scores. He wins the Golden Boot for Copa America in the 112th minute.
Wow.
So Argentina wins the Copa America 1-0 for the 16th time, edging Uruguay for the most amount of wins. And that means Lionel Messi has 45 total trophies, more than Penaldo.
By that he means Cristiano Ronaldo. And I mean, like, and I'll end this by saying this. I've gone to so many debates with other soccer or football fans. I've told them, you know what? They say, like, who do you think is the best player, Messi or Ronaldo? I'm like, yo, both of them are not the best players. Here's the reason why. Because back then, if you don't win the big one for your country, and yet you can have all the club, you can have all the club stats, you can have all the club golds. But if you do not win for your country in the biggest stages, you don't deserve it. You
That's
don't
why
deserve
Messi
to win
is.
the title. And
Because
guess
he
what?
did.
Messi did that. He won. You could stat pad from FC Barcelona. I don't know, Al Nasser, wherever he was at, PSG.
Yeah. El Nasser
Even
is
MLS.
Ronaldo. Ronaldo is at El Nasser right now. They'll say that Messi doesn't have that much competition in MLS. What is Ronaldo doing in Saudi Arabia? It's not like he has a lot of competition there.
Yeah.
So yes, Messi is the GOAT. He is the greatest soccer football player of all time.
In this year.
No, of all time.
I would say
all time.
Pele. Pele will. I say Pele. You can't beat the GOAT in Pele. Via Morta. Move on.
We'll argue later. But yes, so Argentina becomes the second team to win continental cups, sandwiched between a FIFA World Cup win.
Yeah.
Spain was the first one to do that. In 2008 when they won the Euros, 2010 when they won the World Cup, and then 2012 when they won the Euros again. So this time, Copa America won by Argentina in 2021, World Cup won by 2022, and then now 2024 Copa America. So excellent from Argentina in the Copa America. And now,
finally, the
Euros
Euros
are going to see in the finalissima.
Okay, so with that, the Euro 2024, the final was between Spain and England. Well, guess what, England? It didn't go home. They lost 2-1 to Spain. Unfortunately, I could not watch that match because I was long story short, I was in India, and on the way back, I was on the Amtrak taking the train from New York City to Albany. I missed the match, but I was keeping up on Bleacher Report. Thank you for that. We're not sponsored by Bleacher Report, but I'm giving a shout out to them anyway. Just give us all the money, you know what I mean? For Mhm. Give and take. Yeah, but anyway, apparently there was some we saw youth in that Spanish team kept on attacking and attacking. Nico Williams with the first goal, and then England decided to do the right thing by substituting. And apparently the curse of Harry Kane is still ongoing. He's every team that he's been on, they have not won a big major championship. I don't get it. It's there's something wrong with that. But
Yeah,
when they substituted him, Cole Palmer scored. They tied it 1-1. But at the crucial moment, correct my spelling, but Mikel Oyarzabal, scores a phenomenal goal over Jordan Pickford, right? And I'm like, why isn't Aaron Ramsdale playing, man? Arsenal goal. You should have had David Raya of Arsenal because he's actually now because he's a Spanish goalkeeper, but he took over Aaron Ramsdale's starting position with Arsenal, man. And I would say, like, hell, you put 2 Arsenal goalies and we can have goals galore because Arsenal, what they'll do to you and to me, they'll give you hope and then they'll take that hope and rip it out of your body. This is what they do to other people.
See, you should just not support them then.
No, I'm going to remain Arsenal. I mean, I rebuke the devils that is Chelsea and Man City and technically Man U because Man U are devils.
Alrighty.
I would put Chelsea in the same category as the Dallas Cowboys. They both deserve nothing.
Yes.
No, they deserve nothing in life.
That's fair. So La Roja wins in the Euros, and now the finalissima again is going to be between Argentina and Spain. So we've got to see when that is. That's most likely going to be like sometime in 2025. So yeah, that's going to be exciting.
I would say in the Confederations Cup if they're going to continue that.
Alrighty, so that is going to be it for us in terms of the summer of sports.
But now
to
this is what you came for.
Exactly. NFL news. So to go all the way back to the beginning of the offseason, rewind all the way back, as Rakshak mentioned, we start off with the Detroit Lions signing quarterback Jared Goff to a 4-year, $212 million contract extension. $170 million guaranteed. And that means his average annual salary is $53 million per year, is second only behind Joe Burrow. What do you think about that, Akshak?
I think for Jared Goff signing to a 4-year deal, I could see that they want to go with continuity because they have Hendon Hooker as one of their backups, right? Which I thought was a really smart move. Gives him a little bit more time to, like get his mechanics going. But $212 million, not sure about the money wise. I don't think he's worth it. But I mean, but then again, like with the way that he's done with Detroit, and I mean, I wouldn't mind, but I'm not sure about the money wise being paying him Joe Burrow level because Jared Goff, he's a good quarterback. Don't get me wrong. He avoids making mistakes. That is why he's that good. Others have that talent. I don't see it in him because he used to be a former number 1 pick and we were expecting him to like outshine every single thing. We have yet to see that. So he's the guy that will play it safe when you surround him with the right players and the right systems. So yeah, some people are going to allude him to be like, oh, he's the system QB. No, he doesn't make mistakes.
He makes plays. He was second in terms of overall passing yards at 4,500 passing yards.
But you know who makes risky mistakes? Dan Campbell. I mean, come on, man. We'll talk about it later.
But I think it's still a good extension because they've won a lot with him now. They've turned around the franchise. He's their guy in terms of the leader in the locker room. So I think it's a good extension. And if you look at how the quarterback market, and we're going to explain this in a little bit more, how the quarterback market has exploded now.
Mm-hmm.
It's routine for a quarterback to make $50 million a year. Like Patrick Mahomes' deal is extremely undervalued now.
Yeah.
If you look at the player contracts, in terms of in terms of the quarterback, and you look at the average annual salary,
Right.
Patrick Mahomes is tied ninth
Mm-hmm.
at $45 million a year.
Yes.
So it is exploding, and we're going to have $60 million quarterbacks, or like $57 million quarterbacks, right? Next up is Jordan Love. Then you got Tua. Tua, I don't think is going to break 55. I think he's going to fall right underneath Jared Goff. And then you're going to have Brock Purdy coming in about a year and a half or 2 years in terms of his extension.
True.
So I think it's good that they got it out this early. It might be a little bit too much, but it's the price you have to pay to retain a really, really good quarterback. Like top 10, top 12 quarterback, I'll say.
Oh, 100%.
So, yeah. What's next?
Well, unfortunately, with every good news, we have to go back to the worst moments ever.
What's the news
Oh
again?
my goodness. I mean,
Ah,
and it has to do with animal cruelty. I mean, you guys, no life whatsoever. And
that's
apparently,
the worst.
excuse me. This is on March 29th, according to ESPN staff writer Adam Tachin. There have been 2 misdemeanor warrants have been signed against Kansas City Chiefs defensive lineman Isaiah Buggs on charges of cruelty to dogs in the 2nd degree. They did receive reports that 2 dogs were left in the back of the porch being rented. A pit bull and a Rottweiler, no access to food and water. You probably know where this is going to go. Malnourished, neglected, and that kind of thing pisses me off. They're saying, oh, it's a denial and all that, but I think like they are talking. I think this is part of this huge set of legal troubles with the Chiefs, man. Surprisingly, you had Rashee Rice getting arrested in Dallas in March for like a 6-car crash. And then you had offensive lineman Wanya Morris and Chukwueze Godric were arrested in Johnson County recently in misdemeanor possessions of marijuana charges. You know what Stephen A is going to say about this? Stay off the weed. I mean,
Dang. This is the way to bring down the Chiefs. You just get every one of their players arrested for something.
Just move on. Just move on. I'm going to get super pissed by them still.
Yeah. Let's move on to some more good news.
Yes, please.
Nico Collins has signed a 3-year extension with the Houston Texans for $72.75 million.
That's a minimum, right?
That's a good deal. And
that's
it's
a great deal.
$52 million guaranteed. And in terms of active wide receivers, that makes him ninth best wide receiver in terms of average salary at $24.25 million per year. I think that's a really good deal because
100%.
He's a very young talent. He's shown that he's going to he's shown the entire pedigree for being a top 10 wide receiver in the league. And all he just needs is another year of development with CJ Stroud, building up their chemistry, because we know he's going to go off. So, yeah. So that's it for that news. What's up next?
Well, we got another contract extension. This was on May 30th, according to Marcel Louis Jacques. The Miami Dolphins, they agreed to a contract extension with Jalen Waddle, wide receiver. That makes him one of the highest paid wide receivers in the NFL. This is a 3-year, $84.75 million extension. It includes $76 million guaranteed, sources told Adam Schefter. Then the 28.25 million average annual the extension is the fourth highest among wide receivers, while the guaranteed money is third behind Mr. AJ Brown, aka Swole Batman of 84 million, and Amon-Ra St. Brown, 77 million. You know what I'm gonna say about Amon-Ra St. Brown? You
Go
know how
ahead.
much I love you know how much I love watching Amon-Ra St. Brown run routes.
All the dang time.
I mean, me being a former middle school wide receiver, it's like this. You can't teach. I mean, he shows the basics. It's like, I don't care if you are on any opposing fan team, but watch the man play. It is so fun. You'll love it. And I mean, definitely, it's a good move. But then again, it's like, is Tua really that that guy? Because I mean, from
Well, that's why they extended Jalen Waddle, right? To enable or to help, Tua become a top 12 quarterback in the league.
top half quarterback.
Top half. Definitely top half, but I think top 12 is what they're aiming for, obviously. I don't think he's the best quarterback in the league. He's not top 5 quarterback in the league. He doesn't really elevate everybody around him. But if they could make him into Kirk Cousins, that could be workable. That could be something that you can work with. So next up, another wide receiver. This is the offseason of wide receivers getting paid.
Funny, there's an FX special called receiver.
Huh?
There's this funny that you say that. There's a Netflix special called receiver after quarterback.
Justin Jefferson.
Yeah.
Justin Jefferson. He gets his contract extension, 4 years, $140 million. $140 million.
Woo!
That's
well deserved.
A lot.
He's literally
of money.
The Vikings' #1 weapon right now, man. Honestly.
Well, yeah. I mean, he's like he is the best receiver in the league. There is no doubt about that.
Yeah.
Not a shadow of a doubt about that. He is the best receiver in the league. So is it expensive? Yes.
But definitely needed. You pay the man.
Yeah, he eats up about 13.7% of the cap for the Vikings at signing. And that's around $35 million per year in terms of average salary per year. And $110 million guaranteed money. This is obviously generational wealth we're talking about.
Right.
But yeah, Vikings are locking down their young talent and building up for the future, which we will talk about in a little bit.
Oh, 100%.
What is up next now?
What is up next? Okay, this has to be what I like to call one of the most puzzling decisions on contract extension. Hear me out. This was done on June 13th, according to Mike DiRocco and Adam Schefter. The Jacksonville Jaguars signed quarterback Trevor Lawrence on a 5-year extension worth up to $275 million. And the contract, and it's $200 million guaranteed, $142 million at signing. And Lawrence receives a $37.5 million signing bonus in a deal that starts in 2026. He'll be under contract through 2030. I get the move that Trent Baalke is doing, but you're gonna put $55 million average salary, which ties him with Joe Burrow. You honestly think the way that he's been playing right now is Joe Burrow level? Please,
that's what I'm saying.
Please explain this to me like I am a 5th grader.
He's not. I mean, if you look at the top 10 QBs in terms of average salary, right? You got Joe Burrow, Trevor Lawrence at number 1, Jared Goff at 3, Justin Herbert 4, Lamar Jackson 5, Jalen Hurts 6, Kyler Murray 7, Deshaun Watson 8. We all know that's a terrible, terrible deal.
Yep.
Patrick Mahomes tied for 9th, Kirk Cousins tied for 9th, and then at 11th you got Josh Allen. So if you look, and then you got Dak Prescott, whose contract is ending this year at 12th, rounding out for at $40 million a year. So you look at where Trevor Lawrence could have paid. I think they're banking on the fact that he's going to improve, because if you look at the past couple, if you look at his existing work, he's not a top 10 quarterback. But unfortunately, that's just the price that you have to pay. You have to pay $250 million over a 5-year contract to have the right to have one of these players. So that's just the situation that you're in. I mean, pretty soon quarterbacks are going to be making $60 million a year. And if you want to keep a good quarterback and have the potential of having a franchise quarterback, you got to pay the price, which is why that rookie year, the 4-year rookie window is so crucial. And the Jags severely messed it up.
Yeah.
And now they're going to have to work around, which means this year is the all-important year for the entire team, right? Coaching staff, front office,
Dougie P, gotta get your pardon my French, you gotta get your shit together.
This year, if they don't make the playoffs, at least the wild card, because I don't think they're going to win the division, and this is going to be
no chance
for the future. But if they don't make the playoffs this year, people are about to be fired.
And by fired, it's not like they're going to be sent to AEW for help via Tony Khan. I mean, this ain't professional wrestling, no pun intended. This is actually NFL football, man. Get it together. Get it together, Jags.
Jags fans are counting on you guys, both London and Jacksonville. So,
and even all elite wrestling personnel who have to follow stuff. I'm gonna throw the wrestling stuff because I'm that guy.
Go ahead. Alrighty. So up next, we got one more wide receiver. This time it's not a contract extension, but it's a holdout for a contract extension, and that is Brandon Ayuk of the San Francisco 49ers. He has officially requested a trade out of San Francisco. Now, the 49ers have said there's no way we're trading him. They're working on a deal. He and his agent has said that they are looking for a trade, and Brandon Ayuk is looking to be a top 10 wide receiver in terms of getting paid. So he is looking for that $27 million plus per year. So like a 5-year, $150 million contract. Now, I don't know if the Niners are going to pay that level because they already have Deebo Samuel at they already have Deebo Samuel on a 3-year, $71.5 million deal. So is he going to be worth more than Deebo Samuel to the Niners?
Probably not. I mean, plus you got to think about it because they also did draft Ricky Pearsall in the first round. So that could be something to keep an eye out for. And I forgot to tell you, we do have another holdout that I got to report about. Okay. It's about a Mr. Hassan Reddick, former Eagles defensive edge, who's now holding out against the Jets. And apparently he's demanding a $25 to $28 million contract. He's demanding that much, from what I've heard. And I'm like, maybe
as an edge rusher?
As an edge rusher. Because
is he worth that much?
That's what I don't know about. But I mean, like, if I was Howie Roseman, man, you got to be thankful that you traded him out because
I mean that gets him to Montez Sweat territory.
I mean,
but like Myles Garrett also has a $25 million average.
Myles Garrett deserves more because he actually is very influential and a crucial part of that Browns defense. When he was in Philly, he got the sacks because we put him in the right places where he needed to, except when Sean Desai and Matt Patricia had the idiot ideas of, let's try and play back like a boo, try cover. Are you effing kidding me? That's what failed at the most.
Yeah.
I mean, like, but with Hassan Reddick, 25 to 28 million, I don't know if the Jets can offer that much because they also have.
That the problem is the contract itself, just like the wide receiver market, the edge rush market has also exploded. The second most expensive edge rusher is Josh Allen from the Jags.
Oh, Josh Hines Hallen or
Yeah.
something. He
So
just he corrected his name to he did
yeah,
change his name to avoid confusion, which I
yeah,
appreciate.
yeah. So he has a 5-year, $141 million deal that he just signed this year. That makes that's $28.25 million per year.
Mm-hmm.
And then you look at the lower edge, Max Crosby signed 2 years ago a contract extension, 4 years, $94 million. That is about 23 and a half. So I guess for a target, he's looking at Rashawn Gary, who last year signed a 4-year, $94 million deal, $96 million deal, excuse me. That makes him at $24 million per year, the 8th best pass rusher.
Mm-hmm.
So I think he's probably trying to look at that. But is he a top 10 pass rusher now?
Hassan
Hassan
Reddick,
Reddick is what, like 30?
he's third. I
27.
think he's in his 30s right now. But from what I've seen, like he's a good player to have.
He's
Oh,
27, so I think he's still doable. It's still doable. I don't know. He would have to prove something. He
he
would have
had
to
to hit
show it.
like 10 or 12 sacks this
Yeah.
season.
Yeah. Alrighty. Moving on. We've got Christian Darrisaw. Another contract extension for the Vikings. Offensive tackle, standout offensive tackle for them. 4 years, $113 million, $77 million guaranteed. And if you look at in terms of tackle, he is the highest paid tackle in the league now,
Mm-hmm.
after edging out Penei Sewell just a little bit by $1 million. So,
I mean, they're doing the one thing to
every
that
market
works
has
sense.
exploded. But yeah, go ahead.
I mean, didn't mean to interrupt, but I think like they're doing the one thing that we've expected every team:
Mhm.
securing and building through the trenches,
Mhm.
building through the trenches. Namaha, build
Bill through the trenches.
Namaha.
Namaha.
Remember, repeat this mantra 3 times for proper effect.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, it's a good signing, good extension, but again, that's just the price that you have to pay. But luckily enough for them, they got rid of Kirk Cousins, which I'll explain about a little bit. They got rid of Kirk Cousins, they got rid of his contract. So now they have the rookie, they have the contract, they have the cap, sorry.
Yeah,
They have the cap space to sign all of these young players for a large contract. So good on them. I hate to see them succeed, but good on them. All right, last bit of news.
last but not least, we have another holdout. That is in the realm of disappointment. You know what I'm going to refer to? That is the Dallas Cowboys. Yesterday, according to Todd Archer, Dallas Cowboys wide receiver CeeDee Lamb, who has been unable to land a type of contract extension, he is not expected to report to training camp Wednesday for the rest of his team, sources told Adam Schefter. He's entering the last year of his deal, scheduled to pay him $17.99 million this season. And apparently the Cowboys have been bracing for the All-Pro to miss start at the camp. So on it in 3, 2, 1.
How about them Cowboys?
But I mean, to be honest, the Cowboys have some tough decisions to make.
Mhm.
It depends. Number one, are you really going to go with Dak? And how are you going to pay CD? These are your two big questions.
Yep.
What are you doing?
Mm-hmm. If you want to look at the amount of cap space that they have,
What? How much?
they They are 20th. They have $11.7 million in cap space this year. But next year, it is not looking good. Where is it? Cap space. There we go. Well, actually, next year, no, they have $67.8 million. So
Yeah, because the cap is
looks
going
like,
higher.
yeah, next year, dude, I don't know how the Saints still have $100 million in dead cap next year.
What? Still?
$99.55 million
What are they
in the red
doing?
next year.
We have to investigate. We have to investigate this.
I don't know what they've been doing, dude.
Bro, it's that Nola voodoo, man.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's a Nola voodoo.
Yep. So okay. So yeah. That's it for us in terms of the Makadar news. You got a lot of signings over the offseason.
A lot of
Hopefully next
holdouts.
week, huh?
A lot of holdouts too.
Lot of holdouts. We still got Dak Prescott. We still got Jordan Love pending. We still got a couple of other players who are looking for a contract extension as well. So yeah, it's going to be very interesting rest of the rest of the season, rest of the off season. So now we are going to get started with the NFC North preview, starting with your Green Bay Packers. So, what can we say about 2023? The Packers have done it again. We've got our third straight Hall of Fame quarterback, guys. Third straight. Brett Favre, Aaron Rodgers, Jordan Love. All three of them will join the Jets in 15 years. So all three would have joined the Jets in their lifetime if Jordan Love makes to the Jets in 15 years. So in all seriousness, though, Jordan Love looks to be the franchise QB after what we've seen in the last 8 weeks of the season. And that's the key part. The first 8 weeks, he was good, but not to the level that he was in the last 8 weeks. I mean, if you really look at those stats, he was third best in terms of the EPA and CPOE composite, which is the expected points added, and the completion percentage over expected composite rating. And he was third amongst all quarterbacks from week 10 and on. And we went 6-3 in those last 8 weeks. And we made to the playoffs. We had some fun in the playoffs, which I'll talk in a little bit. And yeah, this is after we started 3-5, and Jordan Love and everybody in the offense was struggling because this is a new offense. It's very young. We had the youngest team in entering the playoffs as a wild card team at 25 years old since like 1970. So this was a young but successful team at the end. So we made to the playoffs. We went on to wipe out the highly overrated, overblown, overhyped, sucky, stupid, ridiculously delusional Cowboys. 48-16. And yes, I know final score is 48-32, but that was all garbage time. Okay. 48-16 was the actual score. Okay. That's when you knew game was over. In fact, game was probably over at the end of the first quarter when it was 20-0. 20-0 because we had a pick six. So, guys, we demolished the Cowboys in Dallas. In Dallas. Whatever happened after that, it doesn't really matter. For the first year as a starter, Jordan Love gets to the playoffs. The youngest 7th seed in ever, youngest wild card team since like 1970. leads that offense to a massive playoff victory in enemy territory, goes to San Francisco, and because we make 3 stupid, dumbass plays, we lose, including an interception by Jordan Love at the end to seal the game away. But we almost could have knocked out the eventual Super Bowl losers in the San Francisco 49ers in San Francisco. And if so, we would have beat the Detroit Lions. We would have gone to the Super Bowl. Yes, we would have lost because the dark side has returned. The Sith Lord has returned, if you want to call it. Fine. First year as a starter, makes the postseason. And Jordan Love, man, I can't say enough good things about him. Demolishing Dallas in his first year, almost beating the Super Bowl losers in the San Francisco 49ers, beating the Super Bowl champions in regular season on Thanksgiving. Nobody expected it to happen, but we beat them.
You did America a favor by that.
Yeah.
You know, America owes you 2 favors. Number 1 for being the Chiefs, and number 4 for being those Cowboys.
If only we had gotten to the Super Bowl and actually beat the Chiefs there, that would have been fantastic.
Oh, okay.
But hey, bro, we were like 1 or 2 plays away from getting to the championship, and we would have beat the Detroit Lions. We already did beat them before, so we're gonna beat them again. So yeah, that would have been great, but unfortunately, that didn't happen. And the way that we beat the Cowboys, it was like the USA cricket team beating Pakistan in the World Cup. That's for sure. Completely unexpected underdog team. I think the Packers were like a 10-point underdog or something like that against the Dallas Cowboys.
Oh boy, they
Yeah.
really. I mean,
Yeah.
odds makers. Come on, you gotta do a better job at that.
Yeah. So, yeah. If you guys want to know what actually happened in the divisional round, refer back to our divisional round recap episode of last year, and you guys will get a great taste. But let's wrap up the 2023 recap for the Packers. The offense, 3rd overall in terms of DVOA. The 3rd best offense in the league in terms of DVOA, which means they looked at the Packers' offensive success and they ranked it against the defenses that we played. So tougher defenses, higher offensive success means a better DVA score. If you have high offensive success, but against weaker defenses, that's going to take a hit in your DVA. So the fact that we were 3rd overall in DVOA with going 3-5 in our first 8 weeks, that is very good. 4th in terms of pass and 15th in terms of rush. So that is something that the Packers definitely have to overcome. And that's because Aaron Jones was not there as the leading rusher for the vast majority of the time. But when he was towards the latter half, we were very good in terms of running the football. Defense, Joe Barry. Joe Barry sucked. 28th overall DVOA. And this is what happens when you have the 26th ranked pass defense and 26th ranked rush defense. You allow Bryce Young to be the NFC Offensive Player of the Week. You allow Baker Mayfield to be the NFC Offensive Player of the Week. And you allow Tommy DeVito to be the NFC Offensive Player of the Week.
Tommy DeVito.
Do you remember that, Rucksack? Tommy DeVito.
Why do I remember? Why?
That's how bad the Packers defense was. They made Tommy DeVito into a cult star. That's how bad Joe Barry's defense was. So that's definitely something that we have to fix. And guess what we did? We fixed that. We got rid of Darnell Savage. We got rid of Jonathan Owens. We got rid of a lot of our defensive players who were not succeeding. We got rid of Joe Barry. We brought in Xavier McKinney, star-studded safety, 25 years old, from the New York Football Giants on a 4-year, $67 million deal with $23 million guaranteed. That makes him the fourth highest paid salary in safety in terms of average salary. We also fixed or looking to fix our running game permanently by bringing in a strong, not injury prone, knock on wood, Josh Jacobs. And for that first 45 minutes, I was thinking we were going to have the best running back duo ever in Josh Jacobs and Aaron Jones, with A.J. Dillon being the third running back. But that unfortunately didn't happen. So Josh Jacobs, we brought him in, 26 years old, from Las Vegas. 4-year, $48 million, but only $12.5 million guaranteed. So it's not like it's a heavy contract on our side. It's a lot of like bonus option bonuses and roster bonuses that kick in once he starts earning through that. And he has a very low base salary.
Yeah.
So fifth in terms of running back, in terms of average salary per year. We also brought in some kicking competition in Greg Joseph, the kicker from Minnesota. 1-year deal. Yeah, 1-year deal. It's fine. Anders Carlson is going to be our starting kicker, but we're just bringing in a little bit of kicking competition. And then Andre Dillard, 29-year-old tackle / guard from Tennessee. 1-year minimum deal. Just depth at this point.
Mm-hmm.
But in terms of re-signing, we had a couple of key players that we re-signed. Keyshawn Nixon, who's 27, cornerback, but he's going to be our key return specialist. And the reason why is because if you guys refer to one of our previous episodes, we did a breakdown of the new kickoff rules that are going to be implemented this year. So he's going to be our star return specialist on a 3-year, $18 million with only $6.5 million guaranteed. That makes him the 30th ranked cornerback in terms of average salary. So I think that's definitely workable. And then A.J. Dillon, we retained him on a 1-year deal. He's going to be probably RB3 behind Josh Jacobs and Marshawn Lloyd, who's our draft pick.
Mm-hmm.
Extensions. This was a big one for us. Kenny Clark, third contract, and he's only 28 years old.
Damn.
He's that young.
And then that good.
Yeah, and that good. 3 years, $64 million. Very competitive, only 12th in terms of average salary. So he's been a star player for us, Pro Bowler. Hopefully this year under Jeff Hafley's new scheme, he's going to have an all-pro year. So that's one extension. And then Jordan Love was the other one that is still pending right now. We haven't had any news, but it is still pending. Now, in terms of people who left, Aaron Jones to Minnesota, huge loss, especially from leadership perspective. David Bakhtiari, he also retired. Devondre Campbell, we had him released as a post-June 1 cut. You had Darnell Savage, who left in free agency. You had Jonathan Owens leave in free agency as well. So in terms of coaching changes, the massive shakeup that we had at DC, Joe Barry is gone. Officially, Joe Barry is gone.
Congratulations.
Finally, the horror show that was Barry's defense is gone. No more CB1 Preston Smith. We don't have to see Preston Smith guarding Justin Jefferson in the slot. Thank God.
Can I say something?
Go ahead.
Free at last! Free at last! Thank God Almighty! Free at last!
Jeff Hafley, young guy, 45 years old. He's a former head coach of Boston College, but more importantly, he was the co-defensive coordinator at Ohio State in 2019 when Jeff Okudah went in the top 5 pick in the top 5. They had an awesome defense at that time. And he has also been an NFL DBs coach from 2006 to all the way till 2018 when he left the NFL to go coach at Ohio State. So the key thing was he was the Niners defensive backs coach from 2016 to 2018 when he was hired by Chip Kelly, but he was retained by Kyle Shanahan, and he coached under DC Robert Saleh. So he has that connection to Matt LaFleur. he actually coached with Matt LaFleur's brother, Mike LaFleur. So that was the key thing for in terms of his coaching career. So if you want to look back at that success for the Niners, hopefully we produce something like that here. Mostly it was a run. He mostly runs a heavy cover one, like man schemes. He doesn't do a lot of zone coverage, which is actually against the grain of what the NFL does recently. And he's going to have a heavy emphasis on the D line to attack without blitzing from a traditional 4-3, which is exactly what we wanted. We want a D line rotation where Kenny Clark, Devontae Wyatt, potentially TJ Slayton in run stopping situations, attacking the interior offensive line. Then you got Bain, Rashawn Gary, you've got LVN, you've got Preston Smith, all rotating on at the edge, and you've got the explosive linebacker combo of Quay Walker and Edgerrin Cooper in the middle, who are going to guard that space. And then you've got a pretty underrated secondary. So hopefully this will lead to a lot more pressures and a lot more turnovers. So I'm going to talk about that a little bit.
Yeah.
In terms of draft, so we got Jordan Morgan, first round pick, offensive tackle from Arizona. I wanted Graham Barton. We all know I wanted Graham Barton. When you look at the NFL draft recap and you look at the live reactions, I was perplexed as to why we didn't get Graham Barton, especially since the Packers really have a heavy emphasis on athletic traits and positional flexibility, especially in the offensive line. But Jordan Morgan, he looks kind of good coming from training camp, so we'll see how that progresses. Edgerrin Cooper, linebacker, best linebacker in the draft. We got him in the second round. Javon Bullard.
Oh,
That was an awesome selection for us at the end of the second round. Marshawn Lloyd, third round pick, running back to replace Aaron Jones. That's the role that he's actually going to play. Josh Jacobs is going to be our first and second down back, but I think our receiving back is going to be Marshawn Lloyd. And it's going to be interesting to see 21-22 personnel when we got Josh Jacobs and Marshawn Lloyd. Who takes more of the receiving options? Because both running backs can receive, but Marshawn Lloyd is the better receiving back amongst those two. So then we got Tyron Hopper, who's going to be a special teamer. And then Evan Williams, safety. In the fourth round, Jacob Monk, who's a pretty decent center in the fifth round. Keaton Oladipo in the fifth round, who's a safety. Travis Glover as an offensive tackle in the sixth round. Michael Pruitt, backup quarterback in the seventh. And Kalen King, backup corner in the seventh. What happened?
can I say something?
Yeah.
Can I say something?
What?
Some of these players, man, I was talking with Fourth and John and the Swoop Boys, thinking like, maybe the Eagles could have got some of these players, and you take them. That's how good it is, man. I am so jealous of your draft class.
But you guys got one player from my end as well,
who's probably not going to be who's going to be out for 3 weeks now.
Mm-hmm. That is true. He has a hamstring injury.
Edgerrin Cooper. Oh my God. I had him as my number one linebacker.
Mm-hmm.
He's so good. And Javon Bullard. Maybe you add him to that Georgia trio behind, Ringo, Carter, and Davis. And Keaton Oladipo. I had him highly touted as well. And maybe Elvin was in hell. Kalen King, you had to take him too. And Marshawn Lloyd. Oh.
So coming out of training camp, they're actually saying that Evan Williams might have a starting role as a strong safety or as like a nickel, especially if we play a lot of nickel packages where you got five DBs on the
1, 2, 3,
you
4.
know, yeah.
Yeah.
So you might have Jair on the outside and either Eric Stokes or Carrington Valentine on the outside as well. And then you've got either Evan Williams or Keyshawn Nixon in the slot or a safety. You got Javon Bullard and you got Xavier McKinney. So I think Evan Williams has a chance at playing some significant starting snaps, especially in like third down situations, because he's a monster hitter.
Yeah.
Him and Javon Bullard are beasts in terms of getting penetration into the backfield and getting players on the ground. Getting players' asses on the ground is what they do. So that's definitely something to look forward to. Now, in terms of the last season, in terms of our future season expectation, let's wind it down for the Packers. I definitely expect to see some defensive improvement, especially from the D line, specifically the pass rush. We were not bad, 12th in terms of sack percentage and 15th in overall sacks generated, but only 26th in takeaways per game. So I definitely expect to see that improve. And that's because our defense, our secondary, and our linebackers were all out of sorts. Bad miscommunication, a lot of like coverages that were blown because of that miscommunication. So even if our front seven or front four were getting penetration into the backfield, we weren't able to convert that into takeaways, and we only ended up at 1.1 takeaways per game, which is low. So I definitely expect us to get more takeaways, more interceptions, specifically from, the safety. I expect Xavier McKinney to have like a 4 interception season because he's going to be that post safety that we are looking for in terms of Jeff Hafley's scheme. So hopefully that offense, I think we're still going to continue to rise. We're going to build off of our last 8 weeks of the season, get into the top 5 again, become a top 5 offense at the end. If Love can produce at the same level that he did in the last 8 weeks, I definitely think that they're going to succeed. And I expect us to be a Super Bowl contender at the end of this season. Yep. 12-5 NFC Division champs make it to the Super Bowl. That is my expectation for the Packers this year. Rashawn Gary is going to be our Shandada Player of the Year, not Jordan Love. He's going to be a Defensive Player of the Year candidate. 17 plus sacks because of the way that we are getting reports coming out from training camp. He has been supremely explosive. He's been getting into the backfield over and over and over again against our offensive line, which is a really good offensive line, by the way. He's been getting rid of Zach Tom in terms of like complete bull rushing and getting pressure into the backfield. And mind you, Zach Tom was the guy who held Aiden Hutchinson at bay against Detroit. That's who Rashawn Gary was facing. So Rashawn Gary has the potential to be a Defensive Player of the Year for us. But that's it for the Packers. What do you got for the Lions, Rakshak?
I have to say a couple of things. The Detroit Lions, I think they were the biggest surprises of this entire 2023 season.
Agreed.
No one would have imagined that they would make it this far to the NFC Championship game.
Mm-hmm.
But
Well,
unfortunately,
I would say the Texans are probably the biggest surprise overall, but I agree that
Texans on the AFC side, Lions on the NFC side.
Mm-hmm.
I meant to clarify that. But man, they were so close. Had they had a couple of few proper calls go their way, as in like offensive play calling and challenging and going for a fourth down, I mean, they would have been made it to the Super Bowl, and this would have been one of the most exciting Super Bowls we had ever seen. But they unfortunately lost to the Niners, and we all know how that happened. I mean, if you want to go a little bit more into deeper, the offensive side, nothing slowed them down. The gamble to go away with DeAndre Swift and bring in Jahmyr Gibbs in the first round.
That was a
paid
good
off
gamble.
dividends. I mean,
Mm.
give credit to Ben Johnson and the and the offensive staff. They finished the season in fifth with points, 27.1 points per game, second in passing yards, 258 per game, 0.9 per game, fifth in rushing yards, 135.9, and third in touchdowns, 58. It was technically a run heavy scheme. It was basically balanced, and you saw a lot of players. I mean, Jared Goff, he earned his bag, and the biggest thing, Ben Johnson coming back for another year as offensive coordinator. That was a
Mm-hmm.
big win. Jared Goff, I mean, he finished second. You said he finished second in the NFL
Mm-hmm.
in in
In
both
passing yards, yeah.
passing yards and fourth in touchdowns with 30 touchdowns. He had 12 interceptions and 32 carries for 21 yards and 2 touchdowns. I mean, of course, he did have some issues with like turning over the ball, but I mean, this guy grew as a player. David Montgomery coming back as like as a backup as that running back number 2 or 1. I mean, it was both good news and bad news, but I think like with Jamal Williams, he was no longer with the team, but having Jahmyr Gibbs come and take over, it was insane to watch. And my boy Amon-Ra St. Brown on the offense. Do you know how much I love watching him run routes? Man, he had a huge effing year. He finished third in the NFL with 1,515 yards, tied in second for catches with 119, fourth in touchdowns with 10, and he finished as a first-time All-Pro and a Pro Bowl wide receiver. He is going to be insanely good this year. I think he also earned a contract extension. I don't know about the details, but it was damn well earned. And I mean, like I could go on and on with like Jameson Williams coming back after missing out the first 4 games via gambling. He did have a rough start with like miscommunication and drops. The more he got involved, he was a gadget player, man. Used as a deep slot early on, but more on the short game, passing end routes, end rounds, and good. I mean, the offensive line, they did pretty damn well, good job, especially being reconstructed, going with Penei Sewell being one of the best offensive tackles at the moment. And and then again, with its ups, you gotta look at the downs and knock it off for a bit. I mean, Aaron Glenn, the defensive coordinator, did what he could at best, and the secondary was a bit plagued with injuries, but it was a good improvement compared to 2022. Unfortunately, they were like 23rd in points against, 27th in passing yards, and 27th in passing touchdowns. I think that was their biggest kryptonite. They ranked 23rd in sacks, but the run defense was amazing. Passing defense struggled. The Alliance allowed the second fewest rushing yards allowed, and third lowest yards per carry with 3.7, but 24th in rushing touchdowns allowed. So, and of course, special teams was a bit inconsistent because there's like only 2 kickers, but mainly on that kicking side. But of course, Aiden Hutchinson being a force of nature, he was short of winning Defensive Rookie of the Year last year. But man, in this second year, he finished with 51 tackles, 14 tackles for loss, a team high 11.5 sacks, 7 pass deflections, 3 forced fumbles, 2 fumble recoveries, and an interception. I mean, he made his first ever Pro Bowl. Like, good Lord. I mean, definitely a Defensive Player of the Year candidate for 2024. Alan McNeil, Alex Anzalone with some great contributions as well, and Derek Barnes. But one of the biggest issues that they had was the cornerback depth. I mean, Cam Sutton and I mean, outside of Kendall Vindor, Emmanuel Mosley coming back and coming back from a torn ACL, it wasn't too good. Kicking game, again, inconsistent. But they have made a couple of changes with that, and this is where we will go on with it, especially with starting with free agency. I will highlight some of the big free signings, free agent signings. For example, if you take with Marcus Davenport from the Saints, I believe. 1 second. Getting it ready. So you start. I think one of the biggest free agent signings that they got was Marcus Davenport. He edge rusher from the New Orleans drafted from UTSA. He was joined one at least like 1 year from the Minnesota Vikings. But man, Marcus Davenport, I thought that was a pretty good pickup by the Lions. 1 year, 6.5 million. That's pretty much of a minimum. Defensive, they also signed in some good depth places with DJ Reader, 2 year up to 27.25 million. Kyle Pecco, and of course shoring up the offensive line with Kevin Zeitler and not only that, safety CJ Moore. And I think like that was I mean he also I mean not only safety this would be like his second stint, because in his first I mean it's over he's I mean when he was with the Lions, he came in as an undrafted free agent in 2019, made his debut against the Cardinals, and he played in all 60 games, 7 tackles. But like so far, I think like with the but in 2023, he was suspended indefinitely for at least like 1 season because he had violated the gambling policy, and he was reinstated and re-signed back. So we don't know how well he's going to play, but it is something to see. But I think like another big signing that was there was trading for Carlton Davis from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. That they needed help on the secondary side. They get a veteran, and he's only 27 years old. So the Lions traded for they got Carlton Davis, a 2024 6th-round pick, and a 2025 6th-round pick. The Bucks got a 2024 3rd-round pick overall, and which was the 92nd overall. And this is Carlton Davis, who is a Super Bowl champion, and he was a 2nd-round pick in 2018. He signed a 3-year, $45 million contract extension with the Bucks. But over the 6th season, 9 interceptions, 73 pass breakups. And they go into the Lions go into the offseason with Kendall Vildor, Will Harris, Jerry Jacobs, Khalil Dorsey, and Chase Lucas all becoming free agents. But now getting Carlton Davis as I thought that was the biggest signing. Some of the re-signings that they got was a couple of backups like Nate Sudfeld, backup QB, Donovan People-Jones, another 1-year deal. Brock Wright, they did match. I mean, Brock Wright does make a good backup tight end. Then the Lions were able to match it with a 3-year, $12 million from the against the Niners. Another big one that I really liked was Graham Gazlow, who can also has an option of playing guard and center. 3-year, $20 million. Emmanuel Mosley, 1-year, $2.2 million. That's a minimum. I do like that for corner depth. Kendall Vildor, 1-year deal. Don't know more about the details. But some of the players that were out, Cam Sutton, he was released after domestic battery allegations. Tracy Walker was gone. And we got to talk about some of the players that were out, especially with a boy by the name of Chauncey Gardner-Johnson, who really helped out this Lions defense in the secondary aspect of it, bringing that dog mentality. He signs back with the Eagles. Then you also have to look at Josh Reynolds signing a 2-year deal with the Broncos, adds depth to that part. And also some players that retired. David Blough, he's now the Commanders' assistant QB coach. Teddy Bridgewater really didn't get going. Now he's a high school coach for a Florida football team. And Romeo Okwara, edge, retired. And there have been a couple of changes with the Lions. What they did let go of Dre Bly, John Scott, and Dorian Duker, part of that defensive scheme. But they did upgrade with Jim O'Neill, defensive assistant, Deshae Townsend, pass game coordinator, and Terrell Williams, run game coordinator, defensive line. But with that being said, I mean, there wasn't like that much to begin with, but some of the biggest moves that the Lions made, other than signing up for depth and getting like the best minimum, I thought was really intelligent was getting Carlton Davis from the Buccaneers. But one of their biggest losses, which I personally like, was Chauncey Gardner-Johnson going back to his forgotten homeland in Philadelphia. So Roma Nunji for that. I gotta be a prick about it, but and now but then let's take a look at the Detroit Lions draft picks. You got to talk about moving up to get Terrion Arnold at number 1. That I honestly thought like he and Quinyon Mitchell were like basically one and
2.
1A 1B in perfect. Then they double on corner with pick number 2, getting Ennis Rakestraw Jr. I thought that was good to secure that secondary because they sucked in the secondary. If that was one weakness, you could target the Lions. Let's throw the ball. They were 27th in passing allowed. I mean, you could rewind back and listen to that. And I mean, they did get a good tackle in Giovanni Manu from University of British Columbia. So go whatever team that is. Then Sione Vaki, good safety depth. Makai Wingo, defensive tackle on the 6th round. And then Christian Mahogany from Boston College. So basically they focus on biggest draft needs. That's secondary and maybe you add a little bit of depth. So I do like some of the signings there. Season expectation. I mean, they're lucky enough to keep much of their offensive staff, especially in the offensive side. And they did upgrade on the defense. So good, okay free agency and a good draft, especially the first 3 picks. First 2 and the 4th pick, Terrion Arnold, Ennis Rakestraw, and Sione Vaki. I mean, you pair him up with Brian Branch. Oh my God, those kids are going to be dogs. And you learn from a veteran in Carlton Davis. That's going to be good. I mean, good free agency and draft. I mean, they'll easily make it to the playoffs. But to get to the Super Bowl, Dan Campbell, I mean, I hope you're listening. I hope you watch this show because you need to. You need to be sensible in some of those play callings. I mean, don't go for 4th down on every single time. I know you want to bite kneecaps, but good Lord, you're going to be biting on the ground instead because you'll have some players running over you or jumping over you. Or they could get packed and shipped away. You see what I did there? So don't go for it on 4th down. Be reasonable. That's all I got to say. Rick, I mean, when I did the records, easily 12-5 or maybe 13-14. Anything below is a failure for this team. I mean, you'll probably most likely they can clinch clinching the NFC North again. That's a maybe. Decent playoff run, but again, see the Dan Campbell note that I said. And the Shandar Player of the Year, it's gonna be a tough pick, man. It is very, very tough because this Lions team is talented. They're getting there, but I am torn between Aiden Hutchinson and my boy Amon-Ra St. Brown. So I think that's a coin toss. I have to go with Amon-Ra St. Brown because you know how much I love watching him run routes.
Alrighty. I mean, I kind of agree with you on how the Lions are going to play out. I think the Packers and the Lions are going to definitely fight out for the division. And we're going to talk about this in a little bit when we talk about the final division breakdown. But yeah. All right. Good breakdown for the Lions. Now on to the Vikings.
Oh boy, I mean, don't go too hard on them. No. I mean, by all means,
definitely go hard on them. So I have a little nursery rhyme for you.
But by the way, folks, this is a non-biased podcast.
Oh yeah, definitely non-biased. The wheels on the purple bus go round and round, round and round, round and round. The wheels on the purple bus went round and round all through Minneapolis before falling off completely off the rails and crashing and burning into a big ball of fire. Just a little bit of embellishment for that nursery rhyme, but this is NFL Masala. We got to do some sort of a song every episode. So there we go. Basically, what happened with the Packers in 2022. They tried one last run with an aging veteran QB with all their star veteran players, and then it just went kaput. They couldn't repeat the quote unquote magic of 2022 where they went 13-4 before they lost to the New York Football Giants in the playoffs. Daniel Jones and the Giants beat them in the playoffs in 2022. Oh my God.
Kirk and the purple people eating funky bunch, man.
Yes, they went 7-10 this year. So how's it feel to suck again, Minnesota? Huh? How's it feel?
Yeah.
Effectively, offensively, they broke. Let's break it down to two sections.
Yeah.
Because Kirk Cousins got injured when he tore his Achilles in the middle of the season, we've got to break their season in terms of halves to analyze their offensive performance. With Kirko chains, they were 9th in EPA per play, passing EPA per play, and Kirko was in the MVP conversation, but only 22nd in rushing EPA per play. And that's because they didn't have a good running back. They were competing with Alexander Madison and
Jordan Addison.
no, in terms of running backs.
Oh, running backs. I don't know who.
Exactly. It's Alexander Madison who was their number one, and they had like a rotating cast of running backs. So it wasn't really good in terms of how they performed in terms of the rushing offense, but passing wise, they were actually pretty good. But then without Kirko chains, as expected, 21st in passing EPA per play. The rocket scientist known as Josh Dobbs, that experiment successfully launched, then failed mid-flight and crashed back down onto Earth into a big gigantic ball of fire.
Oh,
and he was replaced by Nick Mullins.
Was that a Challenger reference, man? Oh.
Spice.
I'm not gonna
Anyways,
say anything.
so yeah, the passing EPA definitely suffered because Josh Dobbs and Nick Mullins are not Kirk Cousins. So, and then also the rushing offense also failed as well. The rush EPA went down to 26th because there was a lack of passing success. So defenders were easily able to key into when they were running the ball, and the defenders were able to key in onto the specific playmakers as well. So because of the simplified passing schemes, the entire offense suffered. And that's why they went 1-10, because their defense was actually good. Their defense was surprisingly good, and they succeeded 10th overall DVOA. They were a top 10 defense last year, 11th in the pass, and 16th against the rush. So the reason why the Vikings were so successful was because Brian Flores constructed a feisty defense that mostly got the job done by blitzing the hell out of opposing offenses, right? 51.5% of the time, highest in the league in terms of blitz rate.
Pure Brian Flores right there.
They blitzed 348 times. The second highest was Tampa Bay at 288. They blitzed the opposing offenses over 50 times more than the second defense in terms of blitz, the amount of times that they blitzed. So 51.5% of the times they were blitzing, but it only led to about 15th in terms of pressure percentage generated. So that means that not only were the rest of the team not getting enough pressure, but the D-line itself was not successful as well, which is why they completely overhauled the defensive line this year. You can especially see this in the rush defense when the D-line was 23rd in adjusted line yards. So that's the amount of yards that the D-line gave up in terms of the ranking on average. So they were 23rd in terms of rushing defense in that specific stat, and 29th in stuff percentage, which means come like third down, fourth down, goal to go situations, they were not good at stopping those 1 to 2 to 3 yard gains. So this is in converse of their what their back seven or back eight did when they were blitzing, right? They did their jobs in run D. In terms of second level, they were sixth, which means their linebackers were doing their job excellently. In terms of open field, which is their DBs, they were excellent, second in terms of run defense in the open field. So, and they were only 15th or so in terms of missed tackles. So, yeah, the D line sucked, and that's why they got a lot of improvements in terms of the D line, starting with Jonathan Grenard, standout pass rusher from the Houston Texans. He goes to Minnesota at the age of 27 as a defensive end, but basically defensive end. 4 years, $76 million contract, $19 million a year in terms of average annual value. That puts him in like the top 20 in terms of pass rushers. So a really good pass rush there. Blake Cashman, 28 years old, again, coming from Houston, 3 years, $22.5 million deal as a middle linebacker. Andrew Van Ginkel, who was actually a surprising pickup for Minnesota because, well, surprising in terms of the way that he performed for Miami. So that was a pretty good selection for Minnesota. He's 29 years old. That's why it's only a 2-year deal at $20 million total.
Fair enough.
And then to help the offense transition away from Kirk Cousins, they got Sam Darnold on a 1-year deal from San Francisco for $10 million. That is very cheap for the eventual starter for that team. Because make no mistake, Sam Darnold is the starter for the Minnesota Vikings this year. And as I said before in the Packers recap, they got Aaron Jones on a 1-year, $7 million deal, fully guaranteed. So that was the issue as to why he left Green Bay. We were not willing to give him $7 million fully guaranteed. That's what he got here from Minnesota. Aaron Jones is 30 years old. So take what you will over there. Shaq Griffin, cornerback out of Carolina, 29 years old, who was also previously on the Seahawks. 1-year deal again. And Jerry Tillery, defensive line depth, coming from Las Vegas on a 1-year, $2 million deal. They also got Dan Feeney, who's a guard from Chicago, another 1-year deal. So the rest all are 1-year deals. Jihad Ward, defensive end from the Giants. Trent Sherfield from the Buffalo Bills. Jonah Williams, who's not the Jonah Williams from the Bengals, who's a guard. This Jonah Williams is a 29-year-old defensive end. So again, some more D-line depth. And Camus Grugier-Hill, who's an outside linebacker. Linebacking depth there from Carolina. And Bob Tunyon. Big Bob Tunyon as depth on the interior. In terms of re-signings, they re-signed Dalton Reisner, keeping him on a 1-year deal. Jonathan Bullard, defensive line depth on a 1-year deal, and Brendan Powell, wide receiver. And in terms of players that they extended, we already talked about the most important, Justin Jefferson and Christian Darrisaw. And then players who left, Dean Lowry, who's ex-Packer, Joanne Williams, and Alexander Madison. Now, the biggest thing for the Vikings this year, the draft.
Yeah,
right?
we got to talk about the draft.
Yeah. All right. So, first round, first pick, number 10, J.J. McCarthy. Their supposed franchise QB. We will see how he pans out because he has been a very controversial topic for a lot of draft nerds. Some are really high on him because they thought that, he wasn't put in, or he didn't have a lot to do in Michigan, but when he did, he had some
He made
flashes of
he did.
success. But some are saying that the reason why he wasn't given a lot to do in Michigan is because he's not that good. So we'll see. This is a system, the Kyle Shanahan system is a good system for quarterbacks to be trained in. You see the amount of success that Brock Purdy has. Obviously, Brock Purdy is an excellent quarterback, and I'm not saying J.J. McCarthy is going to become Brock Purdy, but you see the amount of success that Brock Purdy has had. Jordan Love has had success there. C.J. Stroud has had success in a Kyle Shanahan-like system. Tua Tagovailoa obviously has a lot of success in the Kyle Shanahan-like system. So if they can get something similar from the Sean McVay, Kyle Shanahan, like that sort of the overarching Mike Shanahan tree from
Or the West Coast offense, more resembling to towards what we call West Coast offense, which is like a balanced pass and rush attack, as an offensive wise.
So a lot of zone running and a lot of a lot of easy passes for the quarterback. So yeah, so JJ McCarthy, we'll see how he is. He's got a good arm, but he's also very young. He's just 21. So even if he sits out this year, he'll still be 22 next year when he eventually starts. So I think this is a great selection for them this year because next year's quarterback class sucks. It's absolute butt cheeks. Okay, you have Shadur Sanders going in as
Abhishek Ramani, the great Abhishek.
Yeah. Yes.
Butt cheeks galore.
But I think the best selection that they had this year, somehow, able to get Dallas Turner.
Dallas Turner falling down. He was like the first defensive player ever taken.
Somehow getting Dallas Turner at 17. Dallas Turner, in my opinion, could become Micah Parsons.
Yeah.
And the fact that they got him, look at all the amount of investment that they've made in the D-line this year. Dallas Turner in terms of drafting, right? They then signed Jonathan Grenard, Andrew Van Ginkel. They also signed in Jerry Tillery in the interior, Jihad Ward in the interior. So then now you look at the actual D-line talent that they have, right? If you look at the depth chart, you start with Jerry Tillery, Harrison Phillips, Jonathan Bullard in terms of your 3-4 defense that Brian Flores runs. And you got Jonathan Grenard on the outside, on the weak side. And you got Dallas Turner or Andrew Van Ginkel on the strong side, facing the tight end. And you got Blake Cashman, Kamaguje Hill, and Ivan Pace Jr. in terms of interior linebackers. So they've now really significantly restocked their ammunition in terms of pass rush to hopefully get more pass rush for Brian Flores' defense. And that's why I think this was the best draft pick that they had, was Dallas Turner. Unfortunately, in the 4th round, they drafted Kyrie Jackson, cornerback out of Oregon, and very, very sad news. He unfortunately passed away in a car accident recently, and the Vikings, against my what I didn't think they would do, is they're hosting a vigil for him. I think they already did. I'm not sure. But they're hosting a vigil and they're paying for the most of his funeral costs for his family. So that's good. They're also paying out the rest of his guaranteed contract to his family. So it's good that they're doing that. But yeah, very unfortunate. He was potentially going to be a starting corner for them in the 4th round. Good selection. Walter Ruse, offensive tackle depth in the 6th round. Will Reichard, kicker out of Alabama, 6th round. Michael Juergens, center in the 7th, and Levi Drake Rodriguez in the 7th round, defensive tackle depth.
Before we continue, I just like to give to Kyrie Jackson's family, my thoughts and prayers. We lost a young man who we did not get a chance to see him perform, and I'd like to take a quick moment of silence, if you don't mind, and pray for him. Thank you.
Alrighty. So yeah, so going further in the draft, the reason why they had such few draft picks, they used a lot of draft ammunition for those first two first-round picks. For JJ McCarthy, they traded up to the Jets pick at 10, giving up a fourth and a fifth round pick for the Jets sixth round pick and a pick number 11. And for Dallas Turner, they gave up pick 23, a fifth round pick, a 2025 third round pick, and a fourth round pick for number 17. But the crazy thing is the 23rd was not even their pick. It was Houston's. And they traded with Houston before the draft started a second round pick this year, a sixth round pick this year, a 2025 second round pick for the 23rd for number 23 and sixth round pick this year. And the third round pick that they don't have, they traded it last year for TJ Hawkinson to Detroit. So next year, they only have their first round pick and their fifth round pick and like sixth and seventh round picks. They have like 4 or 5 picks next year. That's it. Because they gave up their second, their third, and their yeah. So a lot of picks given up for their picks this year. Honestly, for me, given all the improvements that they've made, it's still tough to gauge how successful they're going to be. The Packer fan in me wants them to suffer so bad and make countless mistakes with JJ, but I don't think that's going to happen. Honestly, realistically, I think Sam Darnold is going to be the starter. He's going to be the starter at least for the first half of the season.
Yeah.
And maybe he may even have a Baker-esque type of a resurgence while JJ McCarthy learns. Right? But if the Vikings remain with just like 1 to 2 wins in their first like 6 or 7 games under Sam Darnold, I think they make the switch at the halfway mark. JJ McCarthy comes in and they just see what they see, right? If Sam Darnold becomes, I'm seeing ghost Sam Darnold, then, they're going to make that switch. So realistically, the Vikings are building for 2025 and beyond, right? This is just a gap year, and they're locking down key young players that they want. They're drafting and developing the depth that they want, building star talent. They've kept Justin Jefferson. They've kept Christian Darrisaw. So realistically, at the end of the season, I think they're going to go 4-13. And they're gearing up for a top 5 pick in the 2025 draft, which looks to be phenomenal if you're looking for a corner or pass rusher. And they could benefit both. Yeah. Could you imagine Dallas Turner and another star-studded pass rusher on that team with Jonathan Grenard? That's why they let Danielle Hunter go, right? That's why they let Danielle Hunter go. It was because of that, because of the depth that they were able to get from Dallas Turner, Jonathan Grenard, and all of them, all of that depth. So, yeah. Shandar Player of the Year, I think Dallas Turner could be in the Defensive Rookie of the Year conversation, especially under Brian Flores' scheme. He could get 10-plus sacks and multiple turnovers caused, and that could be Defensive Player of the Year for me. Defensive Rookie of the Year, excuse me.
Oh, 100% on that. I can imagine.
So, yep, that's it for me. What about the Bears?
The Bears.
Chicago Bears.
Good Lord. Oh, man.
They will always be the Chicago Bears for me.
Okay. All right. So with the Bears, it was literally a mixed season. You first started off 1-5, and then you ended with a 6-5 run. I mean, you ended off 7-10. I mean, lackluster offense, terrible defense, and you're not winning those close games. You almost made it, but you blew it 3 times. Justin Fields. They thought, I'm going to quote the late Dennis Green, they are who we thought they were. The Bears are who we thought they were. Justin Fields is who we thought he is. And we let him off the hook. I mean, Justin Fields was, I felt that he was not in the right place to excel and worked. I mean, he went through so many errors, and I mean, like, if you want to talk about collapses, to look at week 4 against the Broncos, you lead 28-7, and the Broncos scored 24 unanswered points, including 17 in the fourth quarter. And then that's one of them. But I think like one of the biggest turnarounds was getting Montez Sweat from the Commanders. You make that trade, and he had like what, 6 sacks, 14 QB hits, 21 pressures, 3 pass breakups, 1 forced fumble. I mean,
in like 7 games or 8 games.
yeah, and they gave up a 2nd-round pick. The Commanders should have been asking for more from that.
Did you know there's a funny stat?
What?
Montez Sweat is the only player to lead 2 NFL teams in their total sacks from a specific player in a single season.
Goodness.
Because he led the Washington Commanders' sack. He was the sack leader for them and the sack leader for Chicago.
I'm gonna
in
say
the same season.
Which is why I'm going to say something controversial, but not too controversial. Chase Young is mid. Mid. Just like Deebo Samuel, who I cursed because he is mid.
2019 was also he was also drafted in 2019, right? Chase Young?
2020 draft. I think.
Oh, okay.
With the one with Jordan Love and all that, but yeah.
Okay.
Cool. I mean, like, of course, like, so one of their best offseason additions, getting DJ Moore for the Panthers. Why the hell did the Panthers do that? I will never know. And of course, Jalen Johnson, playing one of his best footballs, top cornerback. I think he was signed to a good extension. I think he allowed like 25 receptions for 195 yards, 1 touchdown, and of course, but then Darnell Mooney, you thought he was going to be number 1, but sucked. And what the Bears do at quarterback, we'll get to that pretty soon. But let's do a little bit of recap of free agents, shall we? And we start off with, I'm not going to go into the full details of like the contract numbers and all that because it's too much for me. Like, but no. I mean, it's not too much, but it's like we got some good spicy stuff to talk about. So let's start off with some of the players that they got in. I'm just going to narrow down the big ones. Like, you get Jake Martin, Dante Pettis, and I thought like backups and good Brett Ripon, Matt Pryor, Jonathan Owens, and yes, you get Simone Biles along with that way. Gerald Everett, and boo, DeAndre Swift from the Eagles. Damn you.
Overpriced contract, that too. 3-year, $24 million deal. Overpriced.
And then, and then you take the old version of Kevin Byard. So you can take him because he didn't do shit. Tavarius Moore. Then I thought like the biggest moves dubs that they got, getting Keenan Allen from the. What are the Chargers thinking back then?
Yeah.
I mean, that has to be one of their biggest dubs. But then you look at the players out. I mean, Dante Foreman to the Browns, Dan Feeney, Nate Peterman, Darnell Mooney. What, he signed a 3-year, 4-year deal with the Falcons? I don't understand these types of contracts. And then Justin Jones, defensive tackle. And of course, the big trade when we all thought Justin Fields was going to be the QB, number 1. Wrong answer. He got traded to the Pittsburgh Steelers
for a 7th-round pick.
Stop, Anand, what's happening?
No, Raksha, come back.
What's up, y'all? This is Russell Wilson from Steelers Country.
No,
I'm so happy. We're so happy to get our boy Justin Fields, man. We're gonna rock this out, Steelers Country. Let's baby. And we're gonna go to Super Bowl, baby. That's what it is. Because it's all unlimited. Steelers Country. Let's weld. Ugh! What the hell happened, man? Why does this keep on happening?
You have the disease known as Russell Wilson. You got to get rid of it.
It's Wilsonitis.
Wilsonitis.
if someone gets a cure for that, they're winning the Nobel Prize for medicine. That's all. But I mean, they did make some coaching changes. Matt Eberflus is still the coach, shockingly. They did get Chad Morton, running backs coach Thomas Brown. Like Luke Getsy. But they did announce like Luke Getsy, Andrew Janoko, Tyler Tolbear, Omar Young, and Tim Zetz. They're gone. So Luke Getsy's out. So, but they did get a couple of like assistant coaches to say. And I mean, with that, Chad Morton, running back coach from USC. He had 24 years of NFL experience as a player and an assistant coach. So he did have 15 years in the coaching and as an assistant coach side. You get Chris Betty from wide receivers coach, Thomas Brown, offensive passing game coordinator.
They also got in Shane Waldron, right?
Shane Waldron
as their offensive coordinator.
I think so. Oh, right. That's what I think. Yeah. Shane Waldron. But I thought this is one, and I got something for herstory. I got to give a shout out to our girl, Jennifer King. 6 offensive assistant on the running back side, 6 years of NFL experience, coaching intern for the Panthers and Commanders. First Black woman to name a full-time NFL coach in 2021 when she was with the Commanders running back coach. Now, and by the way, she played in the Women's Football Alliance as a QB and receiver for the Carolina Phoenix from 2006 to 2017. And I mean, you know what? Go kick some ass. And of course, we gotta look at the NFL draft because I think the Bears making that stupid giving up the number 1 pick to Panthers for a shit ton of picks and Bryce Young. I mean, I thought that was like the best. That was like the greatest. I thought like that was like the funniest thing and really good. So with that being said, let's get to it quick. Caleb Williams, obviously the number 1 choice. Best QB, best player overall, best QB.
I would have laughed so hard if they didn't go Caleb. But anyways,
and then of course, number 9, after the Falcons fumbled the pick, they come in and draft seppuku by getting Michael Penix Jr. instead. The Chicago Bears, what they do, you gotta help out your best player. You gotta help out your best QB. And who do you get? Mr. Rome Odunze, the 6th ranked player according to PFF. I mean, you pair him up with Keenan Allen, DJ Moore. Oh my God. And DeAndre Swift at the back end. Good Lord. But then of course I'm getting then 3rd round they get Kieran Amagaji. Thank you for the correction. Adding more to the offensive line. Definitely 89.5 PFF grade in just 234 snaps. He could take the guard, but definitely time to sit and learn. They did draft a punter in the 4th round in Torrey Taylor, Iowa guy. So and then last but not least, they got Austin Booker.
That was a really good get.
Yeah. I mean, good pass rusher. 30 pressures and 9 sacks in 2023 when he was with the Kansas Jayhawks. This is, by the way, Kansas is in a conference called the Big 12, which focuses on everything except defense. There's no such thing as defense in the Big 12, apparently. And
he was successful.
He was successful. Designate pass rush. 3. It could definitely be a 3-down player. So I thought that was a really good draft. So overall season expectations, they do have a mix of young, talented rookies and young players, along with some good veterans. The question is, how does Shane Waldron and Matt Eberflus help Caleb Williams? Do you repeat the same mistakes that you did with Justin Fields, or do you move on? Okay, the Packers. No. But me, as an overall optimistic football fan, I hope that Caleb Williams succeeds, and I think he could be in the running for Offensive Rookie of the Year. So either way, I have the Bears going 9-8. They'll definitely have a winning record. Will they make the playoffs? early to tell. It depends upon how Caleb Williams, my Shandar Player of the Year. See what I did there with the transition? The Shandar Player of the Year, Caleb Williams does. But definitely, he is going to be the main attraction. He is going to be the cash cow. He is going to be the big attraction of the amusement park. That is the Chicago Bears.
Yeah, I mean, I can definitely see that. They are an ascending team. They made really good choices in the offseason. I mean, if you look at their depth chart and in terms of their starting offense, you got Caleb, you got DeAndre Swift as your running back, and that trio of wide receivers, man. DJ Moore, Keenan Allen, Rome Odunze. And don't forget, they got Cole Kmet, Gerald Everett, and the blocking master known as Mercedes Lewis.
Ooh, yeah.
So he'll definitely help on the offensive line in terms of protection as well. They got Braxton Jones and Darnell Wright as their tackles, with Kieran Amagaji now coming in, taking over probably a guard spot. And Nate Davis got Tevin Jenkins in left guard. It's an ascending offensive line. I could say at the end of the year they could be top 12 in terms of offensive line.
Yeah,
so like the top third of the league. And if they have that with their trio and their other offensive weapons, man, Caleb Williams, it doesn't matter what the defense will get, will perform. Caleb Williams would probably win them like 6 or 7 games.
Yep.
So, yeah, they're making good moves. But they are still the Chicago Bears. Until proven otherwise, they are still the Chicago Bears. So now,
according to Anand,
yes, ending off as as our final segment of the episode, our final division predictions. I think Packers go 12-5. Our only losses are to Philly, San Francisco, Detroit. 1 loss to Detroit. We split Detroit. Miami, I could definitely see that. And then Houston. And Lions also go 12-5. They lose to Seattle. They lose to us, Houston, Buffalo, San Francisco. Bears, 8-9. I think losses to Houston, Indy, Rams, New England. Because of their defense, I think New England's defense is definitely going to be top 5 in the league, especially with Christian Gonzalez coming back, and it's going to be a low-scoring game. And I'm predicting the Patriots to eke out a victory against the Bears.
Right.
Detroit twice versus Green Bay, so Green Bay will sweep Chicago, and that's because we always do. San Francisco and Detroit. So twice against Detroit, twice against Green Bay, and San Francisco. So those are their 9 losses, and Vikings 4-13. I really don't see them succeeding that well. Wins against Giants, Jags potentially, Arizona potentially, Tennessee potentially. So yeah, that's it for me in terms of my final division. Packers win the division over some tiebreakers over the Lions. Yep, that's it for me.
All right. I think this one was really tough for me, but I actually had the Lions and the Packers going 12-5, but I have the Lions winning in a tiebreaker.
Ooh, okay. So we'll see.
Yeah, I mean, for the Lions, their losses were to Seattle, and I put an asterisk up against Dallas because we all saw what happened with the referee. Stuff can happen. That's why I'm putting it as an asterisk. San Francisco, they're not there yet. I have to see it. Green Bay will easily get a win. And Buffalo, I mean, you cannot underestimate. You do not want to underestimate Josh Allen.
Especially in the regular season.
Yeah, Packers, I got them going 12-5. I mean, losing to Philly, I'm putting that as a maybe win. Maybe because it could go either way.
Yeah, that's true. I can see that.
San Francisco, some shenanigans is going to happen, and it could be via special teams. Detroit, because Detroit and Green Bay are going to easily split, because this is going to be a rivalry now. Seattle, because some shit always happens in Seattle,
and it's in Seattle too. So,
and then
I was hesitant on that one as well.
You're gonna get pissed at me. I think the Packers will easily win against Houston. I mean, as much as I like CJ Stroud, the player, Packers have a much better defense than I think it's going to be really tough to see Houston. But they'll probably give up a game against Minnesota. Here's a reason why.
Mm.
The Packers are already in the playoffs. They've already clinched. They're going to be resting players. So it's
Gotcha.
basically a throwaway game.
Yeah.
The Bears, they go 9-8, but I'm very confused on like where I'm seeing those losses from. So I'm like just circling back to this, like, okay, who do I have the Bears losing every single time? So I mean, I had the Bears lose. I mean, to Seattle because
Mhm.
Seattle is still a better team overall.
Mhm.
Detroit, I see. They lose to Detroit. They get swept by Detroit. Now I see why. Twice to Detroit. Minnesota, they're probably going to give up a game. It could be the JJ versus Caleb Williams trade.
Right.
That could happen. San Francisco, we know the Niners. Green Bay twice because I believe one famous man says, I still own you. I still own you. And the last loss is, I think, and I guess what? I have a beat the dole game of the year to watch out for. My beat the dole game, Houston versus Chicago. I think Houston will win this one, but it is going to be a fun battle.
Okay.
CJ Stroud versus Caleb Williams. I want to see those two rooks go. I want to see the rook and the second year go at it.
That's the first game of the season, right? Opener?
If I have the Bears schedule opened up, Bears versus Texans. That is
it's the second one. Okay.
Yeah, that's gonna be week 2. I'm keeping an eye out for that game.
Yeah.
That is gonna be fun.
Oh, that's Sunday Night Football on week 2. Oh, that's gonna be fun.
Whoa, baby.
That's gonna be fun.
I'm skipping the Eagles game, Sunday game just to watch this one, man.
Yep.
And last but not least, I got the purple people losers, the Vikings. They go 5-12. They'll have wins against the Giants because you're really trusting Daniel Jones to be their QB. Houston, they could. I mean, no.
Really?
Here's a. Oh, wait. Did I have them beating Houston? Oh, no. That was a mistake. I had them losing to Houston.
Okay.
I had them beating the Giants. I had them beating the Jags.
Mm-hmm.
Because I don't know what the hell is going on with Trevor Lawrence.
Mm-hmm.
I had them beating the Titans because I don't know if Mayo Man can pull it off. I have them.
And you have us beating the Packers.
Yes. Splitting one with the Packers, and of course they split one with the Vikings.
Oh, okay. With the Bears.
Yeah. Yeah, with the Bears. I get confused, man.
You're good. I think it's late. We're done basically. So are you saying Lions win the division then?
Lions will win the division. I think it's going to be some shenanigans or something like that.
Yeah, I can see that happening, honestly. Alrighty. So that's going to conclude the episode for us today. If you guys have enjoyed it, please leave us a review at one of the 4 podcast platforms that we host this podcast on: Apple, Google, Spotify, and Pocket Cast. Or send us an email at nflmasala@gmail.com, spelled as NFLMASALA@gmail.com. Or, Rakshak?
You can also find us on our Instagram and Twitter, which is at NFLMASALA2022, all lowercase. And I believe you already mentioned it, but we're on YouTube.
Mm-hmm. We are on YouTube. And finally, you can also follow us on Twitter at NFLMASALA2022. So that's going to be it for us today, guys. We're going to hit you guys with our signature outro. Go Pack Go.
And fly, Eagles, fly. Take care and have a good night.